Welcome back, beautiful brave hearts. It is Lorraine here in Calgary. I'm so excited to be here with you today for the Pelvic Restoration for Men and Women Masterclass with my co-host here, Cheryl Serta.
Hey Lorraine, I'm so glad to be here myself. There's just, for me, this is my passion, women's health, and there's so much going on in our pelvic region, and we love bringing something different every week and then open up discussions. So remember, everybody, by the way, again, Cheryl Serta, master practitioner with a Power Pack clinic here in Occidental, California. And remember, your questions matter. So please either leave them here in whatever feed that you're listening to us, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, go ahead and put in your comments and know that your questions matter. And when we start hitting on topics that are really important to you, then be sure to put it out there. And of course, the pelvic restoration, this is it, Q&A masterclass. And you can go to vhnuniversity.com. I know there's a place to actually do, questions there as well. Just know that we want to know if you have any concerns, and Lorraine and I are dedicated to getting those answers to you.
That's right. If we don't know the answer ourselves, we're going to find out who does. And that is our goal, our mission, our passion, not mission, our passion, because both of us understand how important this information is to getting out into the world. Because the more people we can educate on what's going on in the pelvic area and why we are such a sick nation, we have a sick care system, and we are feeding right into that sick care system with all of our aches and pains because we've forgotten that the body really truly does know how to heal when we give it what it needs.
That is so true. And that's what I spend a lot of my time with everybody that comes to my clinic, turning patients into healers, is talking about the pelvic region where it all just seems to settle and come back to that same inflammation. And look at all the different platforms. Like we said, no matter where you're listening to us, you can put your questions in and somebody will get back to you with whatever you have going on or find the answer for you. And tonight, oh, guess what? Now we're having the Healers of the Faith sale. And that's going to be Monday. It started yesterday or today, June 2nd to
Hey,
June 15th. That's right. I can't believe it's June. It's like, wasn't it just May? And now it's June and time is flying by. And of course, we'll talk about it, but it goes, there's the Healer of the Faith thing on the 8th, which is this coming Sunday. I know I'm scheduled my day so I can watch it. And we'll be talking about that later.
awesome. So with this sale, it is up to 30% off. So that's an amazing deal. So our topic today is a very sensitive one and but very important, very important. Painful lovemaking. That those words don't even go together. That is not what this is supposed to be all about. So we really have to reconnect to that pelvic area and figure out what the heck is happening and how we can support that area, both men and women.
This is so true. And there's actually a really big name for it when you talk about it. So it's such a common issue that we actually have what I call a scientific name for it, right? That makes it sound like something. Can you imagine if your doctor says to you, well, you're suffering from dyspareunia, and you're like, huh? You think you had something really wrong with you, but it actually is, painful lovemaking. And like Lorraine said, I cannot tell you how many women I talk to, and it doesn't have to be after menopause. This can happen at any time during your life, depending on what's going on and the level of inflammation that you have. And I love the picture you have there with the stats and the heart.
It shouldn't be. This should not be a thing. This just so should not be a thing. We've we've got to get to the root cause of how this is happening. And here at the Doc of Detox, we know what that is. It's the darn pooping in your pelvic. It's that leaky large intestine. Um, you know, we've got to get off the pain train.
And
And
up to 75% of women will experience this in their lifetime, and maybe 3 to 12% for men, but it does happen. It doesn't happen to just women. So, a lot of times it's even more sensitive for men to talk about it because they consider it a woman's issue when there is, when they're having a painful lovemaking experience.
Yeah, and then there's the stigmatism for men and being able to, do what they need to do when they can't.
Yeah.
Now there's a whole bunch of emotional stuff that comes in there.
It really does bring up a lot. And oh, look at that. So there's always these so many causes that they come up with, right? And here's the causes for women. And we're actually going to talk about the causes for men as well. But I know that for women, it can be an emotional issue, like Lorraine was talking about. It can be pelvic floor muscles, right? Especially after women have had babies. Or let's say that you're in perimenopause or going into menopause, you have a lot of inflammation and things are just drier down there than they should be, right? This is going to make the tissue start to get thinner. It also causes irritation. And there's nothing that says no faster than, well, not tonight, it's going to hurt, because you've already got a preconceived idea of how painful it's going to be. And when women have children, there could be tears, and now you have scar tissue. There could be all kinds of other issues going down in the pelvic area that nobody addresses for women. I mean, they superficially touch on it.
Yeah. I would say, for me, I definitely experienced painful lovemaking. And I would say it started after I delivered my daughter, who was 10, 5 and a half. So 10 pounds, 5.5 ounces. And I delivered her vaginally. Um, and I remember after I had her talking to my mom, and I said, it doesn't feel the same down there anymore. Something has shifted. And I said, could, something be falling out? And she said, no, that could never happen. So I'm sure I had some kind of a prolapse. No, nothing was falling out, but definitely lovemaking was not comfortable. And it never really got any better until I had non-surgical done.
Wow. And then, of course, there's the stress. And then the more stress you have, the more anxiety you have. And then that just keeps exacerbating the problem, right? And of course, you could be having a yeast infection or you could have had a UTI. Right now, you've got inflammation that certainly makes it painful, and it's an embarrassing subject for most women and men. Right? A woman feels like she's supposed to be there for her husband. The husband feels like he's supposed to be there for her. And it's really challenging to talk about it because if she's not getting, like you said, Lorraine, you tried all these things until you did the maybe cell sonic regeneration, Wolfe Non-Surgical, started the healing process, learn how to put the fire out in the pelvic area, and watch your body reverse the irreversible. That's what I love about the work that we do, because here at the DACA Detox, we really do have the answer. And it's like we come on and we talk about all these different things because when you've got tunnel vision, when you're just in that issue and that's all you're dealing with, and then it feels like the pain continues even when you're not trying or for 2 or 3 days after. And I know that I have worked with patients and family that have had this issue. And when they did our protocol and started doing the ultimate infusions and everything else like that, then they saw what happened and they did start to rebuild the tissues. The tissues get healthy. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah. And then also, the women who partake in the pelvic restoration and disease prevention masterclass. This is what you need to be doing. You need to be reconnecting on all levels, not just physical. We need the spiritual. We need to get that, some yin yoga going. We need to really let go and heal the wounds in the womb. Yeah, and that's what this course does. It's magical. So for anybody out there who is, sitting on the fence, got issues down there, or even if you don't have issues down there, you need to, sign up for one of these classes. The next one actually is in Calgary here, June the 27th to 29th, and I still have a few spots. So you can go to bhnuniversity.com to get yourself signed up for that.
because then you'll have all the knowledge that, all these questions that people come and we talk about every week. There is so much power when you're in the driver's seat. There's so much power when you know what to do. And I mean, I have done this for myself. An issue comes up, I know exactly what to do. And then I get to see that it isn't weeks and weeks or going on antibiotics or doing something else. It's a couple of days. I take inventory. What have I been eating? What was I been, drinking or whatever it is that created the inflammation? So yes. And it isn't just women. This can happen for men. And we didn't even talk about, sexual trauma. And that happens to men or women. That definitely puts an emotional barrier there when you're trying to relax enough to have pain-free, lovemaking. It really is true. They can have a very tight foreskin. I mean, if that gets pulled in a painful way, I can only imagine, right? And they're not going to say anything or talk about it. And that's what happens whether to men or women. It's like we don't say anything and we just bear it. Well, bearing through the process isn't resolving the issue, nor creating the kind of connection that you really, really want with each other, right? And guys can get STIs too. They can have the candidus, it can still be there, it can still cause pain right at the tip. There's all kinds of things that can be going on, or inflammation in the prostate gland. As men get older, they can still be sexually active, but all of a sudden they're having more pain in that area, right? And so then it exacerbates the lovemaking issue.
Absolutely. So the medical treatment for women, they've got a lot of prescription things. A lot of times they think it's hormonal, so they might put you on estrogen. And I know I had a hysterectomy when I was 40 and I was put on estrogen and I could not take it. I was throwing up. I couldn't keep anything down. And I went back to the gynecologist who gave me the prescription and said, I can't take this. And he basically said, well, then I can't see you. And that was the end of that conversation. And I never did go on the estrogen after that. I just managed things myself, and that's part of well, my journey anyways. When there's something that I don't understand, I'm going to do research and I'm going to find out the best way I can handle this naturally. And that's what I did.
And a lot of women don't understand that sometimes, you're taking a bubble bath, there's
Yeah.
some kind of chemicals and fragrances in bubble baths that can actually irritate and create the issue, right? Or gosh, I didn't even know they had scented sanitary pads, but apparently they do. Like somehow that's supposed to make us feel better. But all of these things, including fragrant toilet paper or using
Yeah.
those wipes, those can absolutely create irritation that then exacerbates that issue. But
Yeah.
what a shame that the doctor said, I can't see you if you don't do my protocol, and this is it. I mean, that really puts women in this kind of situation where they either have to abdicate their power or try to find another solution. And thank goodness we have that solution. So get yourself to the pelvic restoration course, women.
And then the causes for men. There's a number of causes. Cheryl touched on a few things like the enlarged prostate, maybe issues like an inflamed urinary tract or inflamed bladder, the UTIs. There's lots of things that can irritate. Even the well, no, you mentioned the dryness of the shaft or cracking or issues with.
And they can even have an allergic reaction to whatever spermicide or whatever they're using, sometimes to, be careful, but at the same time, that could also create irritation, which then creates that dryness, which, not good, not fun. It's like, ow. And if they're already having issues at night, if they're getting up to urinate all the time, if they're already have a swollen prostate, well, then you're looking at having to try to plow through that. And that can also, it's so uncomfortable. And so being able to talk about these things, bringing it into the light so that you can find out that answer. And I really do hope that we finally get a pelvic course that's for men. But right now, the pelvic course that we're offering the 27th through the 29th of this month is for women only. And of course, because it is a very intimate, it's a very connecting. And for women, when you feel what happens when you reconnect with your pelvis, because this is our power center, this is our love bowl. I mean, when we get cut off between the heart and our pelvic area, especially if we're having any kind of issues, we have a tendency to either push it away or ignore it, which then is, we don't understand how that affects the healing process.
Yeah, I had a text from one of my younger brothers. He is, I don't know, 62, something like that. And he said, "Oh, I just started on the carnivore diet, and the inflammation in my hip has come down." And I said, "Yeah, it would because you eliminate a bunch of inflammatory foods, right?" And then I asked him, because he was texting, we were texting back and forth. I asked him, "Do you have an inflamed prostate?" And a day or two later, he answered and said, "Yes." I said, "We need to talk." So, it's all about educating, and we give our power away to the medical system. And yes, they can mask the problem, they can get us out of pain, they can do surgeries, but it's not getting to the root of the problem. So we're still not getting to why it happened. And if we haven't addressed that, it's you're still going down the rabbit hole. You're still gonna get sicker and sicker. And we got to get off this pain train once and for all.
I agree. The other thing we didn't touch on is there's actual thing called painful ejaculation, where they can actually have pain that has to do with that muscle spasm, that happens there. And of course, the treatments for them, they'll actually give them alpha blockers, especially when that's the issue. So anytime you're putting something chemical or something in your body to stop a process, then your body stops help making the process itself, right? Like we don't have the patience to let our bodies, be able to heal and self-heal, which happens as soon as we start reducing that inflammation. And if you've got the scar tissue and other issues, then you want to find a practitioner and get cell sonic regeneration and get the Wolfe Non-Surgical. There is a pelvic restoration for men as well as women, equally important.
Yeah. And the medical treatment, again, antibiotics if there's something like that going on. But surgery was definitely something that was mentioned. Um, and again, we know that antibiotics kill all the good bacteria also. And now we've got a body that is lacking good bacteria, and the bad bacteria is still flourishing. So what the heck?
Well, then we get to go back to what you and I know is always the truth, and that's the highway of life. Because, everything that you put in your mouth got a 30-foot journey from here to your rectum, right? So what are you putting in that's creating this journey that goes down? Are you eating high frequency foods? Because you do realize that you're an energy being. You do realize that every organ in your body can be measured in frequency, and that's what they do. So they know what a healthy brain should measure. They know what a healthy liver should measure. So if your doctors are measuring you as energy beings, then you must be an energy being. So when you think about that, how are you feeding the energy in your body? Are you giving it foods that are zero frequency, zero energy, zero life force energy? Then that's not going to help you raise your energy or help with your immune system, right? And then if you're food combining improperly, or you are not drinking your solids or chewing your liquids, now you're just, and I love Lorraine. I use this all the time with my clients. You're not a cow. You do not have four stomachs. Digestion hardly happens at all once it leaves your mouth. Everyone talks about all the stuff you're supposed to take for your stomach. Well, food's in and out of your stomach in 30 minutes. Not a whole lot of digestion. Most of it's happening right here, where all this yummy saliva. So once we start, first it happens when we smell. So you cook food that has that yummy fragrance, your body's ready, it starts to salivate. like I'm ready for digestion. And then when you put that food in and you chew until it turns to liquid and you swallow. And the other important thing to understand is don't be in a hurry when you're eating. It takes 25 minutes for the hormones in your stomach to get back to your brain to tell you it's full. And most people I know wolf down a plate of food in less than 10 minutes. I mean, they take fast food to another whole level. And how can you be eating if you're not in a parasympathetic state, which allows your body to absorb nutrients? Eating while you're driving is the worst. I mean, you're in a sympathetic state. You're in, flight or fright. You got to take care of yourself. You're watching all the cars and you're shoveling hamburgers or French fries in. So it's not really nourishing your body, right, Lorraine?
Yeah, it's mindless eating because you're not paying attention to what you're putting in. You're not. And that's why you could get, the jumbo bag of chips, and by the time you get to Sam's house, which is 30 minutes away, it's gone. Because you were just gnawing away. And really, you were probably gnawing away your problems from the day because you weren't thinking about what was going in here. And that's the truth of it. We've got to give reverence to these things that we're putting in here. And like Cheryl said, high vibrational foods. So these are raw and fresh. They still carry life force because at the end of the day, the only thing our body hangs on to is the vibration or the frequency. That's it. Everything else gets excreted. So either you're pooping it out, you're peeing it out, you're sweating it out, you're breathing it out. It's coming out somehow. But the only thing our body hangs on to is that vibration or frequency. That's it. We are electromagnetic beings. We've got to have that spark of life. And when we cook something, we diminish the spark of life. And when we eat something that's dead, there is no spark of life.
And
Yeah.
and then it's going to create inflammation. And for the most part, it's the lack of food combining properly. And I tell them if you only remember that starch never goes with protein, ever. So spaghetti, whew, lasagna, whew, all these things that we eat that are not food combining properly that create the gas. And if your gas smells, you got a manure pile. If your bowel movements smell, you have a manure pile. There is a lab working in there trying to break down the foods that your stomach didn't even get a chance to digest because you wolfed it down or your food combining improperly. And I had someone say to me, but I just love the taste so much. I got to have more. And I said, you do realize that if you're craving a food and you must have it, that is a drug. That is an addiction. That means that foods like dairy, which attach to the same receptors as heroin, and those aren't food. Your body can't actually use those. They don't have any nutritional value. So your body treats it like a drug, and now you're addicted to it. And cheese is like the atomic bomb of it. And I mean, for me, I literally had to detox off of cheese. So I knew it couldn't be food.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I had a thought and it's gone. So we'll go on to the next slide. So here we have the large intestine, and you can see what a healthy large intestine looks like, and then you start seeing the rest. And pretty much everybody is in the rest. There's very few people, I would say hardly none, that have a good looking large intestine. So, but here's the thing. Every time when the cells start to die off, one of the things your body does is it replicates that dying cell. So if that dying cell is unhealthy, it's going to pull that from that cell. But if you can be on board with your body and start supplying it what it needs, doing the high vibrational uh, diet, doing the nutraceuticals, drinking the structured water, um, and getting that mind frame right, that cell is going to get healthier, the one that is starting to pass away. So now this new cell is going to replicate something that's healthier. So it's our job to make sure the cells are healthy especially at the end of their life. I mean, but some cells replicate sooner, like the eyes, I believe it's only 24 hours, but bones are more like 5 or 7 years, something like that. But we've got a job to do, and it's doable. It's doable. Absolutely. We can reverse anything that's going on.
That's such a good point, and that's what I talk about to my clients all the time. If you're full of inflammation, you're only making more inflammation, right? Because, like Lorraine said, if all of my cells are feeding on acidity, and inflammation, then as that dying cell goes, it can only make what it just had. So if it's not getting healthy, yummy glucose from the mitochondria, if it's not getting the sugars and it's really good high frequency foods like juicy, yummy fruits. This is my absolute favorite time of year right now. All of the farmers markets are loaded with fresh strawberries. Ugh, I mean, they're so sweet. It is like that's better than any candy I could ever eat, is to have fresh strawberries. It's got a very high frequency. It's very juicy. Watermelons are starting to come in. Remember, you eat all your melons alone. You do not mix melons with other fruit. So, food combining and educating ourselves so you don't end up right there where you see all that red and a collapsed, transcending colon. Talk about, well, how can you get anything to move up and over the hill? Now it's stuck down in the valley. And now, of course, what we talk about in that manure pile is that your body's going to throw at it whatever it can. So it's going to make its own fungus, its own yeast, its own parasites. It's going to make yeast. It's going to do anything to break down the manure pile. And we already tell you every time, it's the fungus that drills holes through that intestinal wall. And now, yes, that's right. You have actual fecal matter dripping into your pelvic region. And if it's collapsed like this, then it's sitting in the pelvic bowl, right? It's right there. And if you look at any kind of a model of a pelvic bowl, what's right behind it? Oh yeah, your tailbone, your sacrum, your hip bones, so lower back pain, hip pain, knee pain, it all gets connected. And you go to the doctor and they're going to address your knee or they're going to address your hip and not address the issue, which is what created it in the first place, like Lorraine and I talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, it's all about honoring your body and coming back and really loving it and giving it what it requires. Because if you don't give it what it needs, it's not going to be able to get healthy. There used to be a time where we could get healthy from eating right, but we can't anymore. It's just way too polluted out there. So we need the help of the nutraceuticals to actually give the body any sort of a fighting chance to be healthy. So yeah, get on board, dock a detox. And there we have it. Our three flagship products. We want to get the large intestine moving, so the daily cleansing tea, and there's no stimulant in there. It's just herbs and a whole lot of vibration. And it's going to help to tonify the tissues of all of the inner organs. So it's more than just helping the large intestine. The black gold. This is something that works just in the digestive tract. It takes about 2 days to transition out. And while it's there, it is dumping bioavailable nutrients to the good microbiome. So you don't need to be on prebiotics or probiotics. You're actually feeding your good microbiome, and it starts to flourish. And when the good starts to come up, the bad's got to go down, and it's going to grab onto heavy metals. It's going to get rid of parasites, bad bacteria, fungus. It's going to help balance your hormones, men and ladies. It's going to help balance your metabolism, balance your weight, help build muscle. Like, this is something that you want to be on. And for me, I'm never going to stop taking these three things. Never, ever. Because I know my body can't do it without it. And then the last one is the black diamond, which pretty much does everything the black gold does, but now it's working in the bloodstream and it crosses the blood-brain barrier. So we're getting rid of fungus, bad bacteria, uh, parasites, heavy metals. and really detoxifying the body. We need to detox on a regular basis, and that's what these three things do.
Then we move right on to, how we want to help the body, right? And so you want to be doing the ultimate coffee enema. Because as you're taking all those things, and if you have a lot of inflammation in the body, you're taking that black gold and it's just sucking up 400 times its weight and flushing it out, then you really want to help flush it out. So doing the ultimate coffee enema not only is cleaning out the large intestine, but that's not even the real reason you want to do it. When you're using the green coffee, it has a ingredient that once, like 2 inches up the rectum is the hepatic, I want to call it the signal.
Portal,
It's a portal,
portal.
but it's a signal. It's not
Yeah.
the actual portal. It was called something else when I looked it up. And I go, okay, it gets it to the hepatic portal, which gets it to the liver. Basically, it tells the liver it's time to go on hyperdrive. And so what happens is it starts releasing a lot more glucose,
Glutathione.
glutathione. I had it right the first time. So
Yeah.
it's the glutathione, which is how we build up our immune system. Okay. So as it's pumping it into the blood that it's cleaning as it's going through, right? And you're going to hold that ultimate coffee enema inside. It takes 3 minutes, just 3 minutes, for all the blood in your body to go through the liver. Okay. So if you can hold it 3 minutes, awesome. 6 minutes, amazing. 9 minutes, go girl, go guy. And then 12 minutes, you've reached the ultimate time, really. And your blood has now been through 4 times. So for me, it's like I have this little happy dance. I'm celebrating because I know that I've just given my blood a great car wash, a great cleaning. And so I always envision tons of those little Pac-Mans going in there and cleaning up everything that it needs to be cleaned up, and then still getting flushed out the body. Everything that no longer serves my body gets flushed out with the coffee. And so if you're starting this healing journey, it is so very important. All the instructions are in the Perfect Day Guide. I mean, step by step by step.
And then there's the vaginal and rectal infusion. If you are doing this rectally, you must do the ultimate coffee enema first because you want to give this a place to rest and be absorbed. So definitely you want to do that. Women, we're a little bit more fortunate. We can put it in both ends. If we've got polyps or fissure in the rectum, you'd want to be doing it up the rectum, right? The rectal tissues and the vaginal tissues absorb nutrition way better than anything else. I mean, how the heck could we think that putting something in here is going to travel down all 32 feet of tube and be effective down where it needs to be? That's not happening. That's a fairy tale. So I want to anchor onto things that really work, and this would be a thing that really works. If you've got a problem in the pelvic area, you could be doing this 3 times a day easily. Easily. You want to get rid of that problem? That's what this was built for. And we've recently introduced the Beyond Ormus minerals. So now we're recommending that you do the infinite iodine all by its own, and then you mix up the vaginal infusion, do that, and after that, you can do the Beyond Ormus minerals. And now you've got such an amazing, healing, detoxifying, rejuvenating. It's going to put a smile on your face. You are going to feel better.
And I just want to add, Lorraine, just like our ultimate coffee enema is different than any other coffee enema you're going to do because of the high frequency nutraceuticals that we use and which ones we use when we make it. So this is also the ultimate infusion, whether it's rectal or vaginal, because of the high frequency nutraceuticals and essential oils that we are using in the infusions. It makes them the ultimate. This isn't like anything else you have ever tried. And that's why it works.
Yeah. So if you've got anything happening in the vagina, the uterus, the pelvic area, you want to be doing this. Men, you got an enlarged prostate, you want to be doing this. You really need to clean up that pooping in your pelvic area. Elvis died with what, 50 or 60 pounds of fecal matter in his pelvis. Let's get real. Let's get real. The doctors who are doing pelvic surgeries, they've got to see it. They've got to know it's there. Are they not saying anything? I don't understand.
Because of that still stigma. It's like people still don't want to talk about it, like it's something that they shouldn't do. You
It's a
know,
taboo subject.
yeah, it really is. And
Yeah.
so, you guys, wherever you are in the journey, create the perfect day for the rest of your life with a perfect day consultation. That's right. You get to actually have a coach for life. I know that Dr. Wolfe has it for 250. He has a long waiting list, but you can go to perfectdayconsultation.com, or I think it's is it
Yeah,
Perfect Day Consultation?
I think so.
All right.
Yep, .com.
And then
Or
you can actually have a master practitioner who can do it for 150. I do not. And then the book, the Perfect Day book, that has all this information that we talk about in there, except for, it's not going to be the same as taking the pelvic course, right? It's going to have and talk about all the different modalities that you can do, but it's not going to go in depth to what Lorraine and I teach when we do the course. So go to pdgfree.com, download the Perfect Day, start reading. This is my health Bible, that I look at all the time.
And then we have the world's largest self-love, self-care masterclass library. You're going to find that under Evolve in the bhnapp.com. So if you haven't downloaded the app, this is one of the benefits of downloading. You get access to all of these master classes for free. It costs you nothing except your time. That's it. If you're interested in finding out, how this ick happened in the world, then maybe medical mafia. That might be a good one. Or spoiled rotten. You know, you want to figure out what's going on. Healthy to 100. For women, I am woman. There is so much information here. If you got that C, then there's a lot of different things you could be looking at. The emotional chemistry of cancer and disease healing. You know, Cancer Answers. I know that's in there somewhere, but there's so much information. Go and explore. Do your due diligence. Figure out what you need to figure out so that you can have that perfect day.
And there's nothing more powerful than being self-educated and reading these things for yourself. And then, of course, take a course. Go do the whole life health coach, because you're going to learn more about not just your health, but you're going to learn about that emotional healing, the mental healing, the physical healing, right? And you're going to do it in a unbelievable 9 days. And Dr. Darrell Wolfe is the master at cracking that coconut. We get tunnel vision. We get stubborn. We think we know what we know until we don't, right? What is it to be unconditionally loving to yourself? What does that look like? So how does the highway of life work? I mean, everything you can imagine is covered in this course. It will change your life. So go to bhnuniversity.com and find out when the next one is. Well, in fact, I know the whole life coach is going to be in LA, and then it'll be in Ixtapa. We'll talk about those dates in a minute.
And then we have the Wolfe Non-Surgical Certification with Dr. Sage Wolfe. This body work truly is out of this world. The first class that I took and got my entire body worked on, I was totally blown away. I left that class a different person. Of course, we have issues in our tissues, and we get these issues from an emotion. Either we have a trauma that creates the emotion that creates the issues in our tissues, or we have an emotion that creates the issues in our tissues. But either way, we're doing it. We're putting them there. And that creates things like frozen shoulder. That creates things like breathing problem. That creates things like lumps and bumps. And we want to be able to once and for all address this and understand how beautiful the body can work when we can go in lovingly and open up the areas of crystallization, calcification, and scar tissue. You have better blood flow, lymphatic flow, and your nervous system connection comes back. You've been told, no, that's dead. That nerve will never come back. No, it's calcified. So Cheryl and I, we can go in with our elbows and then use that cell sonic regeneration. And what? You've got communication back. You've got mobility back. You've got quality back in your life. That's what this is doing. It is totally reversing the irreversible. For more information on that, you're going to go to bhnuniversity.com or go to the events in the Braveheart Nation app.com.
And of course, there is the Women's Pelvic Restoration and Disease Prevention Masterclass. Yes, it is for women. And the last really live in person where nothing else is happening except you get your instructors and it's us women in a room learning about all the issues in the tissues in our pelvic region. And it is so much more than just understanding what's going on physically, understanding how to take the fire out. It's also about reconnecting. It's about lovingly being with yourself. It is about becoming quiet and becoming still. It's about learning how to relax the pelvic floor so that when you do tighten your muscles, when you have to urinate, it actually stops it. It's about reconditioning those pelvic muscles. It's learning, it's such a deep, wonderful connection, and there is just nothing like it. I mean, I know Lorraine and I talk about it all the time, but the very first time I took the course, and believe me, after having 4 children, I thought I knew everything that was going on down there. I'd seen some things. I had my babies at home. And so I had, midwives, and they were very helpful, and they taught me a lot of things. And I certainly had pain-free pregnancies and births. But that was it. My uterus was for making babies. And once I was done making babies, it was for pleasuring, and that was it. And then when I had issues, I went to the doctor. It was just what you learn to do. And unfortunately, there were times when I took antibiotics or I did this or that, which of course, now I learn that antibiotics can only get about 98%. And when you get that rebound reaction, that can often happen, especially in the pelvic area, it's just that much more. It takes your breath away. So when you learn how to reconnect and understand that these signals, women, these signals that are coming from you do not have to endure or suffer anymore. It's about learning to take it back. And, it's so interesting because I have people go, okay, I want to take that course. I'm having this issue. And then I want to be done in that weekend. And then I'm thinking, whoo, okay, so we're going to give you the tools that are going to help you. However, actually resolving it, women, let's be patient with ourselves. It didn't just happen overnight. The inflammation and the issues that are going on and the emotional traumas and everything else that's there. We have to be gentle with ourselves, but yes, it'll certainly happen faster and be more permanent than just throwing a Band-Aid at it. And so, like Lorraine said, please, Lorraine's going to give you her telephone number in just a second here, because we do have a few more spots. We're so excited. This is our last really intimate live, just Lorraine and I and the class, whereas the one in Ixtapa, that'll be November 21st to 23rd, will also be an online course. So, you've got cameras, you've got lights, you've got filming. It's a very different experience.
Yeah. So the dates for Calgary is the 27th, 28th, and 29th. You can give me a call for more information, 403-605-9216. And you can go to bhnuniversity.com. There's a lot of information there. And if you're Canadian and you want to sign up, don't go signing up on the website because the website has the US dollar price. And Dr. Daryl Wolfe has been so generous with us Canadians that the dollars that you see, the price there, the 11.97, you get to pay that in Canadian dollars. So you want to give Cynthia a call so she can do that for you. She can work that magic. So her number is 1-855-900-4544 extension 0. So that's Cynthia for women who are Canadian who are wanting to take any of the courses, any of the courses.
And then we have the Healers of Faith. Woohoo! This is happening this Sunday, June 8th. We have Dr. Judy Mikovits, an 18 world leading healer. She talked to me a little bit this morning because I jumped on, and she was telling me all the things that they're going to be actually talking about. It's going to be so much more than I thought because they're actually going to talk about not only ways to help with inflammation and to get healthy, but how to do it, how to combine if you're on different things, what to look for. I mean, it's going to be so beautiful. These 18 world leaders are volunteering their time and they're coming onto our platform. That's right, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then there's a live Q&A Monday, June 9th from 12 to 2 and Wednesday, the 11th from 7 to 10. But guess what? If you don't go to bhnuniversity.com and register, then you won't get the link for the live Q&As so that you can ask in real time any questions that you might have. So that's a powerful way to bring healing to you.
I'm very excited about this one myself too. I am so looking forward to Sunday. And then we have the Gold Care. And this is another BHN TV special world event with Dr. Dana Cranberg-Nill and Dr. Simone Gold and Dr. Daryl Wolfe and 18 world leading healers. This is going to be on Sunday, July the 13th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard. And then we're going to follow it by the two Q&As, one on Monday on July the 14th from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern, and then one on Tuesday, July the 15th from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern. You can sign up for this powerful event by going to bhnuniversity.com.
Oh, there's that Healers of the Faith again, up to 30% off. So be prepared when you get all the products that you need. Like we talked about, start with the basics if that's what you can afford. Get the cleansing tea, get the black gold, get the black diamond, right? Start somewhere because you need to start working on the inflammation. And then, of course, you guys aren't going to believe this, but the Braveheart Nation app, we were banned from Facebook because with the truth we share and teach, we might become out of reach. But that's why you need the bhnapp.com. Stay connected and thrive. They cannot knock us off this platform. We own it. And so free health and healing for all humans. That's right. So we're growing by approximately 20,000 new brave hearts joining us every day because we don't believe we'll be allowed to continue with this growth because our message is to free the world. So you want to go to bhnapp.com, download that free app so you can constantly stay connected.
Absolutely. And this is the app, the bhnapp.com. You can download it on your PC, your tablet, your laptop, your devices, your phones, wherever. But just do it and get connected. Welcome home to Braveheart Nation. There is so much information there. You can track your perfect day, the news and events. So even these podcasts that we're doing, they are posted there. The New World Practitioner Map, that's where you're going to find who's in your neighborhood, who is out there as a practitioner, and then what can they offer. The Evolve is the world's largest free online library of videos and guides and audios for self-healing. This should be on everybody's device. You should be sharing this with everybody you know if you want to help the world to get healthy. You can connect with other Bravehearts around the globe. We have a tribe now. We've got people that are just like you looking for people who are just like you. The perfect match. If you're single and you're looking to find a Braveheart, I don't know about you, but I'm getting very picky on who I want in my life. So definitely you want to maybe connect with the perfect match through the Braveheart Nation app. And then the mindful moment reminder, a little Tibetan bowl that you can set for every half hour or hour. Maybe you want to make sure you're drinking all your water, or you're just coming back to your breath and bringing that body back into the parasympathetic nervous system. So go to bhnapp.com and unleash your roar.
Oh, I like that. And of course, I just noticed the time, so I'm going to kind of quickly go through our wonderful slides here. So Dr. Sage Wolfe is doing a US and a little bit of Canada tour, right? Where he's going and he's doing all these amazing treatments. He's doing total body thermography, heavy metal testing. He does Wolfe Non-Surgical and the Perfect Day consultations. And he's going to Power Pack clinics, which means they're either going to have the cell sonic regeneration and or the cardio med bed. So this is an amazing opportunity to really jumpstart the healing process journey for you. Find out where your issues are and address them. So he's in Stuart, Florida. He's finishing up the Wolfe Non-Surgical. He's going to be available for consultations June 6th to June 10th. Call Deborah, 305-342-9559. And then where's he going to be? Lorraine.
He's going to be in Calgary. Yep. He is offering, after he finishes the Wolfe Non-Surgical, right away, he's jumping in and doing thermographies, Wolfe Non-Surgical, heavy metal testings, consult from June the 26th to June the 30th. And you got to give me a call, 403-605-9216. And I don't have that many more appointments left. So I believe I still got some on Saturday and maybe one or two on Sunday. Give me a call if you're interested and you want the best of the best treating you.
That's so true. Because then he heads off to St. Louis, Missouri. You want to give from July 6th to July 15th. You want to give Tim or Sandy a call, 479-215-9592. Then he's coming to the best clinic, not the best clinic, but an amazing clinic in Occidental, California, because it's mine, Occidental Health and Healing. He's here July 20th to the 29th. I think I have one day left where you could do thermography, and we still have a few more. I might not even have that, but I know Wolfe Non-Surgical. So please give me a call, even though it's still 2 months away. 707-322-1979. After me, he heads to Los Angeles. He'll be there July 31st to August 7th. You'll give Nirin a call, 386-631-4066. And then where's he off to, Lorraine?
Montreal, Quebec. And he's going to be there from August the 23rd to September the 1st. You're going to give Christiane a call, and her number is 438-929-0997. And then here is a quick look at the dates. If you want more information, you can well, you have to call in order to sign up for the treatments. But if you want more information, you can go to bhnuniversity.com.
I like it. And of course, these were the courses we were talking about. Wolfe Non-Surgical is in Calgary, Canada with Lorraine from June 14th to the 25th. While we are doing the women's pelvic restoration, the 27th to the 29th, he'll be taking those treatments. And then the whole life coach in Los Angeles, you guys here in California, wake up, time to get going. It's September 13th to the 21st with the Wolfe Non-Surgical, the 8th to the 19th. Then he's in Ixtapa. All three will be offered. The whole life coach, the Wolfe Non-Surgical Women's Pelvic, but that will be also online. Starts October 29th, ends November 23rd. There is financing available for everybody in the United States. You have no excuse now for not being in this class.
And then Braveheart Nation, you can go from patient to hero and victim to Braveheart. Go to DOD5star.com and you'll be able to find the Ixtapa, Zihuatanejo, Mexico Healing and Retreat Center. And you can send your questions in to Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, Rumble, Telegram, and BitChute. And we are on Audible and on all of these platforms. You know, I love listening to anything that I can be doing double time at. You know, I can drive and I can listen. I can do my laundry and I can listen. I can walk the dog. I don't have one anymore, but if I did, I could walk the dog and listen. The more we can listen, the more we can educate, the more it sinks into us. And that's what we need. I think it's like 13 times you need to hear something before you say, oh, I got it.
Well, that's good to know. We have fulfillment centers, United States, Canada, and in Australia. And of course, if you want to become an affiliate partner, you can sign up at doggeteatalkspartner.com, earn commissions on your referrals, which is so important. Why wouldn't you? And if you're a health professional, then you want to become a wholesale, buyer. And you want to offer these high frequency nutraceuticals to your clients, your patients, because you want them to have the very best. So our 1-800 number, 855-900-4544, extension 5. There's also a WhatsApp or email, office.docadetox@gmail.com. And of course, we're talking about these Power Pack clinics because we need them all over the world. So go to dodpowerpack.com, find out for yourself how you can become a Power Pack clinic. Again, the USA has financing for a Power Pack clinic as well as the courses. I know we're whipping through this, but it's already 6 o'clock, so I'm just kind of,
There we go. That's just
yeah.
there is the healing and training retreat. You can go to dod5star.com. Just know that you can come down and create the whatever kind of retreat that you want, whether it's a healing retreat, a vacation, just visiting. But yes, and for personal treatments and training, Dr. Sage Wolfe will come to you, or you can come to us in Ixtapa. You can use that 855 number, extension 5 to book that. These are the prices. We've had these prices solid for, I'm going to say 2 years for sure, maybe 3 years. And our prices came down. And the financing available in the US.
And those
And
perfect day consultations we talked about. We got to give each other a break when we're rushing through these things. Again, Dr. Daryl Wolfe is $250. The New World practitioners are $150. Go to perfectdayconsultation.com. And, we have wonderful clothing. We have our sweatshirts, we have hoodies, we have t-shirts, and we have hats. So, be a walking advertisement, because it's by word of mouth that people will learn, because when you have the experience, you share the experience. And I think the next slide, we already talked about the different platforms. We already talked about the Ulta Healing. My favorite book, Healthy to 100. I have it in actual paperback so that I can take it with me when I go places where I don't want to be looking at my phone, because I want to, read about how to live to be 100 or 120, right?
or later. And the only permanent healthcare is self-care, and the only permanent love is self-love. And if you want to if you want to rise to your full potential, and we are basically just potential, that's what we are. If you want to rise to your full potential, you need to learn how to fly, which means first love yourself.
And we are stronger when we rise together. Go to bhnuniversity.com, get signed up, find out where Dr. Sage is doing treatments. Go to bhnapp.com, download the app, become part of this amazing community. We already talked about that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of repeating in here. So anyway, we come to the close, and we thank you guys so much, because this really is our passion. As you can tell, we get so into it that, time flies. And we know that you have dinner to prepare and other things. We're so glad that you joined us. I mean, it means the world to me. I know it does to Lorraine. We always end with the Brave Heart Nation oath. So let's just slow down just a minute and take a deep breath. There we go. I am love. I am healed. I am Braveheart. Today and every day, from the moment I rise until I gently close my eyes, I will always trust, honor, respect, protect, forgive, and totally love myself first and foremost before anyone else or anything else. So help me God, because I can, I am love, I am healed, I am Braveheart, and I am all in. And I know 3, 2, 1, you got this.
Thanks for joining us, Bravehearts. We'll see you next week.